yeah, like for changing the direction of the podcast and that, and maybe just going into a sports only direction, really.
You always do that to me when I start. You always do that to
Yo,
me when I start. Because I'm trying to hide behind the mic like I'm not smiling, but I am.
okay. I guess I deserve that one. But yeah, changing the way we do things here on our podcast and being more sports orientated versus political. Um, yeah, I kind of felt like we needed a bit of a change and get back to the things that we're really passionate about, which is sport. I think we both. That's kind of how our friendship actually started. Was through sport and that, talking about it, yeah, constantly throughout high school and that. And I felt like the political stuff, it does get like monotonous and quite overburdening, or yeah, I don't know if that's the right word, but overbearing, and it just brings you down. I felt like gets me into like a negative space, like when you just surrounded by all these political ideologies thrown left and right, and it kind of just gets into a shit flinging battle. And like I just wanted, I can't say I feel like being in that battle right now anymore. Maybe in the future, but right now I would prefer to remove myself from that and just talk about things sport wise and things that I have more passion about. And I don't know what you feel. Maybe you feel
I had like 100% agree with you, man. When it comes to the political South African news, for one, you say it feels monotonous. I think it's frustrating because not only is it the same thing month after month, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's nothing much we can do to try and change it. At one point, maybe we did with the political parties that came to the front, and we voted for supported specific parties and movements and things like that. But at the end of the day, when you and I did start it, we did say that sport would be like, almost half, if not exactly half of the podcast. So it's not as if we're straying away from our roots. We're sort of just tending into one direction that we've always been into. Like within our first 5 or 6 podcasts was already our top 11, top 15 of different sports, things like that. It's also, it'll be something we'd enjoy as well. So I think that's important. I think honestly, the most important thing is probably the negativity that you feel doing it week in and week out with the news that comes. You can sort of get into like a doomsday sort of negative vibe, which isn't good, man. It's not good for podcasts. I don't think we enjoy more of the ones that are more banter and stuff like that than the ones that are actually purely political ideologies. So I know you and I probably differ on this, but I think we will maybe come back one day. We could come back for a few episodes to do that sort of stuff. We know a lot of people that do it, and we are friends with them, so it would be great to have them on the podcast. But I personally have always told you that there's a huge space in South African podcasts for sport, and still no one's filled it. So I have absolutely no problem heading into it. And there are no podcasts where the South African sportsmen and women get to come on and speak. I think there's a niche there, and both of us love it. We can speak endlessly about a whole lot of different crazy little sports. Downhill mountain biking or fishing in my part, or crazy little things like that. I think NBA, exactly, yeah. So just sort of going more from half to maybe 90-10 when it comes to the sports politics mix. It was always a weird blend to begin with, but I mean, when you do speak about things like South Africa and CSA, it will bound to get a bit of politics speak in there, and then probably that's where we'd get our 10% from. But I'm pretty comfortable and I'm excited, man.
Yeah, it's like you say as well, that there's not really a great sports podcast in South Africa. Like I just clicked on SuperSport's website this weekend, and they've got a podcast tab on there, and they had podcasts up that were like 2 to 3 minutes long, and they're basically just short little interviews that they've uploaded like one every month, and that's like considered a podcast. And I was like, that's not really a podcast, that's just a interview clip that they've just called a podcast. So and that's coming from like our biggest sporting enterprise in South Africa, if not Africa, and that's all they can offer. So there is definitely space for maybe a longer format, better in-depth analysis podcast when it comes to sport.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that if you combine the top 5 sports you watch and the top 5 sports I watch, you could put together a podcast that would be like pretty broad. There would be some weeks we'd probably be speaking about boxing most of the time. Some weeks around July, we speak about Tour de France most of the time, so on and so forth. So I do think there's a space when, I'd really enjoy doing it. I'm going to enjoy this a lot more than, not to say we didn't enjoy speaking to political guests, like that was all great and we learned a lot from it and things like that. But both you privately and me privately have been feeling how negative it is sometimes with, the crime, the murder, the corruption, things like that. We haven't really been able to do much sport. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel the same. That's one of the main things, is that negativity. It feels like, it changes your headspace and it just gets you in not a very good place. And week in and week out, and that talking about it, researching stuff, looking into it, and just everything's just more and more negative. And it's like,
I remember when we scheduled the sports ones, how much I'd look forward to, and I always tell you, like, maybe we even recorded me saying like on a brighter note this week, and things like that. The World Cup ones we really enjoyed with Squidge, and I mean there's lots of different people we can speak to, and it's not so much of a drastic change. Like, it's still north south. It's just sort of a redirection, if you can put it that way.
Yeah, and it's not saying that we won't get back the people that we have spoken to before.
Because I'm sure they all enjoy sports, and they all, have an opinion about sports and sports politics, if I can put it that way. I mean, there's a bunch going on there, and we, like USADA and, like bannings and things like that. It gets pretty political, so we can just sort of, tend to one side when it comes to the political stuff.
Yeah, agreed. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, and I think it'll be good. And, a nice change up. So yeah, hopefully the people that do listen to us stick around, and we'll be glad to spread some more sporting news, whether it's South African or international.
Yep, or American, as they like to be separate. You probably hear me say that a lot.
Thanks for listening, and please remember to subscribe and follow us on our different social media pages. Catch you next time.